Sweet. Hello, everyone. Jennifer and Brian are here again. Or Brian and Jennifer. I don't know. She's first. She's on that side. So you just got. Tell me about a little more of your retreat. You know, I got on live last Monday, and then you were at a Healy convention, correct? It was just mainly for Healy.
It was for Healy, yeah. It was for the bioresonance frequency device, and that we call Healy. And yeah, it was wonderful, wonderful. Like it was 300 people who were all using this bioresonance device to shift their lives and their businesses and their wealth and their way of creating their life. You know, like they promote the freedom lifestyle a lot and health. So got to meet amazing people, influencers, got to meet my sisters around the world and connect deeply with team. And for me, this has a lot of value. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it.
My brother was telling me we went rafting yesterday. I just got totally burnt. I think I told you yesterday, but you can't see it in this picture for whatever reason. But I'm pretty red. I don't know.
Okay, no, we can't really see.
He was talking about another bioresonant device. I'm sure there's more out there than just Healy, correct?
Listen, I've heard, but I haven't really investigated. I trust life when something is presented to me, and
Right.
I'm not so much of a rational type. I'm more of an intuitive type. So when I see something being presented in front of me and it answers some kind of prayer, I open my heart. I'm very curious, and most of the time I just say yes to the thread of energy that wants to take
Yeah.
me. So I weave with it. So I'm not going to be the type of person who's going to go and Google and do tons of research and find the perfect reason to not opt in into something. No, if there's something I feel, it means there's something I'm here to learn, and I'm growing with this. Well, that's just my way.
Going with the flow of life. Yeah, I can resonate with that one.
Yeah, receiving the flow, receiving the answers.
Yeah.
And yes, when things need to be grounded and realistic, of course, I use my mind and my engineering side of the brain to create systems and structures around this. But yeah.
Yeah. I know that there's just a big. It seems like things are happening so fast. You know, if you just look at what people were doing even 2 years ago, you know, what we were using, how people were living their lives, things are changing very fast. It seems like there was a big energetic change over the summer solstice, right? Just like a week or so ago, and
Yeah, I mean, I really feel also that it's really moving faster and faster. And there's tons of explanations, you know, the planets or, you know, frequency upgrades, the Schumann resonance, you know, like the planet Earth's frequency that is expanding, evolution of consciousness. Yeah, but we are asked to go faster, and technology is going faster too in its evolution.
Yeah, Ronald. Jennifer and I have been getting on once a week here to talk about structure and embodiment. So that's the main subject here. But you know, if you want to learn more about structure and embodiment, that's what we're here for. So I just had somebody ask me on my LinkedIn Live. You're not looking at live, but I'll post
No,
questions to you. He just was asking if this was a podcast. It's like, well, kind of, right? We're talking
kind
to
of,
each other.
yes.
Yeah. So
Nice.
I mentioned before we got on here, I kind of want to talk about fear and what that causes. Fear is, you know, that animal, you know, survival, fight or flight, right? You either fight or flight in that animal mindset. And fear, especially in the bigger cities, it seems like it's on the rise quite a bit. I travel back and forth between here and Portland and Seattle. And just recently, I went camping just outside of Seattle. Well, on this side, on the Wenatchee side, you're probably not too familiar with that area, but it's quite a ways out of the city center, and there's fear is pushing people out, right? So fear isolates people, and so they're getting people are going to campsites and staying from work 14 days at campsites because they're homeless, and so now you've got you know, Forest Service guys kicking people out of campsites because they're there for more than 14 days, and that all those people are getting pushed out of the city centers. So as fear rises in the city center and nobody feels safe, and they're getting more and more isolated, you know, and they're because all of us, everything depends on trust, right? If there's no trust, then everything stops. Then as soon as trust breaks down and fear gets out of control, then the city centers start to collapse. And I don't know. I've had this intuitive feeling like we were close to something like that. And when it gets to that, if it gets that far and the city centers actually collapse, my way of thinking is you really have to teach people how to just be of service to each other. And then, the concept of money has to go away for a little while. The United States learned that in the Depression, because money all of a sudden went away and communities had to realize, hey, we just need to support each other and do what we can to support each other, or else what else are you going to do, right? There's nothing else you can do.
Mm.
So, and so that kind of fear kind of goes along with the inflation rate and what we're seeing in the inflation rate. Because if I have a product to sell you and you have a product to sell me, I mean, let's say we could cancel that each other out. It's like, okay, I'm going to sell you my product, you're going to sell me yours, and then you've got a neutral balance. But if you're always trying to sell somebody something first, it's kind of based on a lack mindset, right? Instead of providing first, which nature actually does naturally, we provide and then receive. And I think that's why, we've been in coaching groups where they always say, always offer a free product, right? You're always giving into the community first and then be open to receiving. So, I think that's a standard thing. But when that it's just the fear-based mindset that creates that lack that ends up creating a tension and a lack of trust. Let's say if I prioritize, what I can get from you versus serving you, then that's kind of the beast mindset where I'm trying to feed off of my environment instead of providing for it. Maybe you'd like to speak on that.
Mm. I mean, it's a beautiful topic. There's a lot of layers there, but I love what you said about, providing to my environment rather than seeing, how I can feed from it. And this is a very unconscious way that many are operating from, which is a survival, very, very survival primal, primal behavior.
Right.
And most of the time, it's not even conscious, like if we would tell somebody, hey, like this is your behavior, they would not necessarily see it, or they would be in denial of it, because a lot of people, I mean, most of society is based on this, But the second we're conscious about it, and that we're actually realizing that this is what, from the scarcity, this is what creates more scarcity, and this is what creates poverty, and this is what creates the sense of, lack, that we have, then we can reverse the equation once we're conscious and really enter this frequency of service that, as we are, we were part of the same groups where we learn about wealth consciousness, and how at the bottom of the pyramid of this is money is service, the frequency of service, and what it means, which is exactly what you say, providing. And providing doesn't mean overgiving. It doesn't mean saving people. It doesn't mean, being the good Samaritan or Mother Teresa. This is what I mean. And I definitely don't put service in the category of sacrifice. So, and I think this is very important, because it's not just a formula that we go, from the mind, oh, I'm going to be of service, or service coming from a place of lack also, which can be a persona, right? But behind it, there's fear, right? So even if we do offer free gifts to people, if behind there's lack, the free gift is not going to, nothing is going to come in return, because the free gift was created from lack. And that's the difference, and one thing that I want to share to whoever is listening right now is to always check from which space are you creating from which space are you providing from. Is it really from an overflow of energy in your body? You're actually feeling the truth of overflow, and it's activated, and you're feeling like your body is like, oh, it's pouring out. This is a natural giving. It means that it means that you have received so much from life that naturally you're giving. And the opposite equation is right. When you're giving, at one point, this is all physics. Like, your energy is going out of your body, but then at one point it will naturally create a vacuum that is going to bring back energy. And we don't have to overthink this. It's really pure physics. So and this is where trust comes in. You were speaking into trust. When we start being in this experience of life, right, rather than controlling life, we really feel into how these principles are true. We play in life and we're like, oh, I have a lot of energy. Then naturally, if I let my body speak, you will see your body will give. And when you're depleted, for example, or you're lacking energy and you take good care of yourself and you meditate or you offer yourself love or you receive, then your body's just going to be absorbing, from the outside. But it's not coming from lack. It's coming from a natural motion that you gave and then you're receiving, right? And there's a neutral way to go into all of this. Like the more you're in the neutral, in the center, meaning that you don't put an emotional texture to either the giving or the receiving, like the more you're in abundance actually, and you are in trust, because your nervous system stays neutral instead of like, oh, I'm giving, I'm receiving, I'm in high, or if I'm like, okay, I'm like, it's like all this, shitty emotional realm,
Right.
right? It taints the experiences, and then it creates memories, and memories recreate emotions, and then it just loops. There's so much energy waste in this. But with neutral and a proper ground, you see the movie happening, but your nervous system stays grounded, and this is where it can expand in frequency rather than in emotion, which is very different, very, very different in terms of how to navigate life.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of subjects there.
Yeah.
I mean, especially, memory,
know.
because memory can cause you so many problems, especially about memory about another person, because all of us are changing and evolving so quickly. I like to, and I reminded this some family members, like don't ever take a memory that you had of somebody even 12 months ago and have it color your perception of who that person is, right? That was a temporary state of mind. We're all in temporary states of mind, and we're all, as we grow and evolve, we're all coming to higher states of consciousness. So don't be afraid to reach out to somebody that you hadn't talked to in a while and say, hey, how you doing, right? Because traumas feed off your environment, right? You're never in a place of abundance when you're throwing your traumas to the outside world, because you're just not self-aware, right? That process of self-awareness.
Yeah, and you project your traumas on people, and then it becomes huge expectations and disappointments and all of this. But trauma is real though. We all have some trauma in our bodies, in ourselves, and it's very important to acknowledge for the trauma not to control you, but us rather be conscious of the trauma so that it doesn't control our lives, the fight, flee, and freeze, like you say. So when we feel the primal brain contracting in our brain, how can we actually relax into it, relax our sacrum? I speak body language because this is just my field, but there are symptomatics, physical symptomatics that let us know when we are actually in trauma response. When we are stuck in our breath, when we are reactive instead of responsive. All of this, it's actually better to pause, to not say nothing, to breathe, to ground, and then re-see the situation from fresh lenses,
Yeah, and healing, healing in the body, it happens so much faster when you're not reacting to what the sensory inputs that your body's giving you, right? If you're experiencing pain and you just stay non-reactive, your body's going to heal a lot faster. The pain is telling you, how you need to respond and take care of parts of it. But if you're not, just overlapping it with drugs, a lot of times drugs will have a negative healing property, and that's not very, very well talked about in a lot of circles.
Yes.
But I've gone through lots of different types of healing, and it's all mostly about being non-judgmental and non-reactive. You'll heal so much faster if you're just in that state. And certain pains are a lot harder to deal with, like dental pain, if you got a bad tooth, right?
Yeah, we're talking about dental pain, but there's also very strong symptomatics, addictions and, suicidal behaviors. When we really go into deep ingrained pain and survival, like there are some strong cases, obviously, beyond like dental pain. But it's,
Right.
but at the end of the day, it's love, at the end of the day, it's all these big symptoms. It's because at the root, there's a lack of love and there's a lack of safety. And it's to create these safe spaces, these sacred spaces where that body can be heard, listened to, embraced, welcomed, honored, acknowledged, and that voice inside can be really, again, heard on its needs. What is it that you need? What is it that you desire? What is the story that you're here to tell? Because as it unpacks its truth and its authentic voice from deep down, the hidden voice, right? We have to decrust this. This is where the trauma gets to release and the energy gets to unlock from the body, and then it's accessible to the person's life. And this is where abundance also comes from, because if we have a lack of love inside of our body tissues, then automatically our vibration and our frequency changes, and it creates also this lack in the vibration, in the magnetic field of our being.
All right.
That's it. Yeah. Sometimes I stumble on words.
Yeah. Well, you speak 2 languages. I don't. I'm just stuck to English.
3.
Oh, 3. That's right. 3. Yeah.
French, English, and Spanish.
Okay.
And a little bit of Arabic, like we were speaking just before.
You can understand a little bit of Arabic, right?
Yeah, my parents are both Egyptians.
Okay. So yeah, when you talk about learning to listen and provide for your environment, it's the exact opposite of feeding off your environment. So you're just switching your mindset, because internal traumas will always feed off of the people around you, and then it separates you, right? Because you're in some point of drama, whereas if you're always listening and providing, you really have to get to you're almost always in a meditative state anyway, because if your traumas are gone, you don't have anything live and active. It's just, bouncing around inside your head, so you're available for what people need. I think that's kind of the recipe
Totally.
for how we all are members of the body, right? And we're all unique in what we have to offer too. So it's
And that's the thing, is that our traumas were godly created to hide us from our gifts. It's part of our path. So when we look at our life from a spiritual perspective, and that we really trust that everything is put on our way to make us unlock actually our godly divine nature, we see that the trauma, the wound that was created in our physical body was actually created because there's fear of the potential that's behind this wound. There's fear of being seen in our full godly potential and in our natural gifts. And this is when trauma gets installed in the body. It creates a short circuit, a resistance in the nervous system. So then the current cannot go through, like an electrical circuit, right? So it loops and it creates all these distorted
Yeah.
loops inside that create, distorted thoughts in our brain. But when we understand this and we understand this, or we get, held, in whatever structure to release these traumas, then we have a direct proof that, yes, it holds energy. And are we ever fully healed? I don't know. It's a path that we choose. And I think with the path, we just get more and more conscious when we are triggered and when we are reactive rather than responsive. And then the second we react, we're like, oh, I'm reactive. Then you take space, you take a step back, you breathe into it, and then you do your work. You go sit down, you meditate, you embrace yourself, or you ask somebody or a therapist or whoever you choose to hold space so you can voice it out. And then you just move faster. You don't give so much power to the trauma anymore, because you know that your desire is actually to want the love behind the trauma, because
right.
you want
It's like,
to.
why did I react that way, right? It's like,
Yes, and in a simple way, why did I react? Like you say, like in personal relationships on a day-to-day or at a workspace, we get so triggered. We're busy, we are tired, we have kids, we have to, we are in the routine, sometimes in very, very strict schedule or stuck routine or systems, like I'm speaking from a perspective of, I was there and now I have chosen to create something else, because I have learned through my body that the structures I was in were not appropriate for my expansion and what I really wanted to carry in the world as my godly divine mission, or whatever you want to call it,
mm-hmm.
But take me like 15 years ago, when I was still working as a mechanical engineer, like we were sharing on the first episode, something in me was telling me, like, you cannot keep reacting like this. I was seeing myself reacting in situations, and I could know deep down there was something off. So I listened to the knowing instead of the falseness of the reaction. Their knowing was like, your soul is thirsty. This is what it was saying. It was, my heart was like, there's something deeper, there's something more. My soul is calling me. I had no clue what was this about, right? But I just kept listening until I had to tell my boss that I'm leaving, and then I had to recreate my life from that point, building on what I had learned from life. But, we never start from zero, but still, it's very, very unknown. And God knows how much fear there was in that transition moment. And I'm saying this because we're speaking on LinkedIn, on YouTube. I know there's a lot of people who are in corporate environments that are listening or who are desiring to have a more free life. And this is what we are here promoting, a free embodied life, with, bigger mission or purpose, whatever you want to call it, or, as simple as offering ourselves better to our families, our communities, our workspaces, as we can bring it to very simple language also.
Yeah. Yeah. For what, one more question or something that I'd like to talk about is, you said it was just a matter of physics. When you're providing for your environment, it has to come back to you. If you look at your biofield, it's a circuit, right? What you put out there is what you get back. So the energy that you put out is what you get back. If you support, you'll be supported, regardless of, all the material manifestations we see of everything is just that manifesting, that energy that you're getting back will manifest itself eventually, even if it doesn't happen immediately. And that actually helps build faith and trust, right? And not only in your own path, but just the fact that you don't need to constantly feed off of anything, right? It's like, maybe you have a temporary sense of lack, and then all of a sudden, I need your trauma or the old monkey mind is telling you to go feed, where all you have to do is just keep that listening and providing circuit, and then you're gonna constantly be taken care of. Yeah.
Totally. And to really forgive ourselves and to accept ourselves as non-perfect also, really to be constantly in this space of I forgive myself. We make errors, we fail, constantly. We take sometimes, and we're desperate sometimes, and we are, sometimes we are in the taking mode, and we are looping in our trauma, and it's just making us be vampires, and we're where's my next prey? I'm really speaking like an animal, but sometimes it's not that speech in our mind, but energetically it's like this.
And you're not looking at it that way consciously, but under the surface, it's what's actually happening. Yeah, you don't even realize.
That's the energetical dynamic. Exactly. Yeah. And I consider myself conscious, but I have some moments that I'm exhausted. And I know that my body now is not really offering. It's a need to take.
Right.
So most of the time I'm conscious enough to stop myself and to really replenish myself, meditate long hours, connect to the earth, to nature. But sometimes, especially with the people I'm most comfortable with, my nervous system will feel comfortable enough to either burst or to be more vulnerable in the truth of what's freaking happening in my body, in the moment.
Yeah. Leave me alone.
Example is with my ex-husband, sometimes I'm like, okay, shit, sorry, I've just overreacted, and we become needy and stuff, and it's just part of the game, but we're conscious, so we catch ourselves a lot faster.
Yeah, and for one thing, going through that process and just kind of slowly evolving out of just high states of trauma to less and less and less makes you a lot more humble, because it's not like it doesn't happen overnight. So it enables you to just accept where everybody's at, right? You can't place blame. You're always out of non-judgment. There's no judgment here, and compassion really kind of should rule the day. So yeah.
Exactly. It's it's really this compassion and humility and choosing a different path if you want to, and that's it. If there's something that's off in our lives, or in your life, whoever's listening to this now, capture it. Capture it. Yeah, I think this is how we say it.
Yeah.
And choose. If it's something that's not aligned, that your soul is saying, no, I cannot continue like this. I cannot continue with this behavior, with this pattern, with this job, with this relationship. If there's a knowing, then assess it and choose differently, because there are other ways. Nobody is trapped. Nobody is trapped. And sometimes it can feel like we're trapped, but we're not trapped. It's our mind that traps us. But there are other ways, and the second a prayer is authentic and genuine. If you look around, you will see that some people around you are just close to offer you these answers and new ways. And it's important to trust that, really, really.
Awesome. I don't think I can add
Awesome.
anything to that.
Thanks, Brian.
Beautifully said.
These chats are always super fun and enriching.
Yeah, they are. I really appreciate you, Jennifer. I really do. You reached out to me, and it's like, well, let's just get on LinkedIn once a week, right? See what happens.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally. Yeah, and I want to add also, like, just for the purpose of everything, that if some people want to reach out to me, my name is just there. And I have a free embodiment journey gift, 90 minutes practice. You can reach out to me directly. I will send it to you. I'm an embodiment coach. And yeah, it's my honor to serve anybody who wants.
Thanks. I think we can end the stream with that. I don't think we need to keep blabbering on after that, right? I'm the structure guy, but and structure moves energy, so there's both, right? Because you're listening, you're embodying something, and then you're channeling information, and then your structure changes, right? Because our biology is actually changing when we're moving more energy and information. It has to. So everything is structure and embodiment. As far as I can tell, I don't know. Maybe there's something else out there that I haven't figured out. But we'll see.
Yeah, perfect. Amazing. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.